Morning, BJ. Morning, Doug. Morning, Maggie, Barbara, Karen, John, Mark, Lorraine, and up pops the YouTube comments. Morning, Chris. Morning, Stuart. Morning, Suzanne. Morning, Stephen. Morning, Eddie. Morning, Thomas. Morning, Ruth. Morning, Vince. Fiona. Ruth Pet. Morning, Tricia. Lorraine. Graham. Doug. Alan. John. Ian. Donald. Maggie. Mark. Morning, Anne. How are you? Morning, Charlotte. Morning, James. Morning, Thomas. Morning, Fiona. Morning, Stephen 693. Morning, Robert. Morning, Brian. Morning, John. Colin. John again. I think we're getting there, folks. Numbers are climbing nicely. How are we all today? Let's hope you're all fine. So, I think that's enough on board, so let's get this broadcast underway. It's Indy Truck Davey out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is currently sort of very middling, clearing, about 8 degrees. No bad, dry at the moment. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like where you are? Look at your own bloody Monday. Hi, Elizabeth. How's the weather where you are in Gran Canaria this morning? Anyway, let's get this broadcast underway. This is the news review for the 5th of the 1st, 23 from the colony of Scotland. Thursday started with two main themes in the rags. The performance of Scotland's accident and emergency departments over the Christmas week, and our Imperial Master's 5 pledges to the English people. Right, on the performance of Scotland's accident and emergency over the Christmas week, 2,000 Scots waited 12 hours or more to be seen. Now, I'm going to say this, and might not be doing well, but hey ho. The people who waited that length of time will have been triaged and would have been put at the end of an ever-changing list because they wouldn't be in any danger of severe consequences for their wait. Okay. Nobody says it's great fun, but if you've got a twisted ankle and wee Mrs. McGumpher's got a heart attack, then wee Mrs. McGumpher's gone first. And as David pointed out yesterday, while you're sitting in the waiting room in E&E, ambulances are pulling up outside the door with more serious cases being taken in via a different entrance. And it's more important that those with the most threatening illnesses are seen first. Okay. Now, so to say people have been triaged. Yep, some people are having long waits, but there's a lot of pressure on the NHS. And that's just that. Hammy, you're on the naughty step for Cooper, are you? Hey, make sure it's a big naughty step, there's a few. Right, now, the right-wing press, they really go mental on this. I mean, down that road, they're waiting in ambulances 12 hours before they get into an A&E. Here they're inside the building, comfortable. Well, not exactly comfortable if they're there with an injury of some sort. But at least they're indoors where it's warm. Anyway, the right-wing only rag, the Daily Mail, described Scotland's accident and emergency wards as akin to hospitals in a war zone. Wow. I guess nobody in the Daily Mail's ever been in a war zone, huh? Anyway, this is absolute nonsense, of course. And they also claimed that a 92-year-old was abandoned is what they were implying, on a trolley for 30 hours in accident emergency. Now, she may have been on an accident emergency trolley in the A&E department, but there's absolutely no way she was left unseen or untreated. She would have been seen and treated and comfortable while waiting for a bed to become available on a ward. Now, we spoke about this yesterday. Shame that wait was so long, But we've got a crisis in the health and social care sector in Scotland thanks to bloody Brexit. All the Eastern Europeans who were working in our health and social care sector have all went back to Europe thanks to Brexit. So getting care packages out in the community to move people back into the community where it would be better for the recovery and of course better for the public purse is difficult. And we can lay that square at the feet of the Westminster idiots for having the Brexit referendum in the first place. Now, as to Sunak's 5 pledges to the people of England, it was up high in the bloody sky. Now, I'll run through them again, although I did them yesterday. 1, half inflation. The rate of inflation was projected to half in 2023 anyway, according to analysis from the Bank of England and the government's own Office for Budget Responsibility. So he's claiming credit for something that was going to happen anyway. Easy one, that, eh? Grow the economy. Now, all the economic projections from all the economic experts and think tanks project negative growth and a prolonged recession. Their own Office for Budgetary Responsibility forecast a decade of economic decline. Every single economist and think tank blames the projected economic decline on Brexit. Yet, our English cousins and the politicians refuse to recognise the massive mistake that they have made. We, the peoples of Scotland and Northern Ireland, tried to tell them, but would they listen? Nah, they listened to a bunch of carpetbaggers and corrupt disaster capitalists. And what was it the carpetbaggers and the corrupt disaster capitalists offered the people of England for this economic disaster that we're looking at? Well, they offered them a land of hope and glory, sunny uplands, reminded them of 2 world wars and the World Cup, for fuck's sake. Wow! And they vote that. Mental. Absolute folly. 3, what else did Sunak offer? National debt to fall. Mr. Sunak is treating the English people like fools. As the economy declines, more and more people will rely on the state to survive. So the state will need to borrow massively just to keep people alive. Now, we've had 12 years of austerity and the national debt went from 800 billion to 2.779 trillion when I looked this morning. That was a couple of hours ago, so it's probably 2.8 trillion by now. Now that is £44,641 worth of debt on the shoulders of every single man, woman and child on these islands. Or it is £76,782 for every taxpayer at this point in time. Now, as the economy is in decline, the tax base will shrink, so massive tax hikes and huge borrowing will be required just to put the brakes on the spiraling UK debt. So Sunak knows he's talking pish, but he's trying to sell it to the English public. Absolutely nuts. Right, 4, bring down NH waiting lists. England, your NHS has just been done away with. Right? That's you lost the last of the big public service in England. How are you going to perform? How's Sunak going to perform the miracle of shrinking that NHS waiting list in there? How's he going to perform that miracle? Outsourcing. You'll be transferred from an NHS waiting list to a private sector waiting list. And that's because the money down there follows the patient. So if the patient's not going to the NHS, it's being sent to the private sector, then that money is denied to the NHS, underfunding the NHS, seeing NHS services in decline as private sector health services flourish. So that's how he's going to do it. He's going to transfer the English public from an NHS waiting list to a private sector waiting list, making that NHS waiting list go down. Yeah. Sleight of hand. Yeah, you've just had your NHS stolen from under you, England. And everybody in his dug. But the people in England could see it coming. Absolutely everybody in their dug could see it coming. So how's he going to get the NHS waiting list in England? Promise number 4. He's going to transfer you into a private sector waiting list, taking you off an NHS waiting list. And undermining and underfunding your NHS at the same time. Pure genius. You voted for it. You vote it. Unfortunately, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are going to have to follow suit, because as he takes the funding from your NHS and transfers it to his pals in the private sector, because remember, 76 MPs and Lords have interests in the private healthcare system doing that road. His pals are going to get rich, and you're going to lose your NHS. 5. Stop small boats from crossing the channel. How's he going to do that? He's going to give more money to the French to patrol their shorelines and stop them from getting the boats in the first place. That one's absolutely comical. That one is Davy laughing out loud. So much for Brexit and take back control of our borders. You've just put control of the borders in the hands of the French. Kent's now a huge European and French custom union, and it's no even longer a county in England. And then I's been annexed and all, but we'll get a wee bit more of that further than. So much for take back control, you muppets. That's what happens when you that's what happens when you buy Land of Hope and Glory, Empire, 2 World Cups, 2 World Wars and a World Cup, half a bunch of disaster capitalists who are carpetbaggers. The term mug would be used here in Scotland. Conned is the correct term. Oh dear. So that's Sunak's pie in the sky. I thought I'd run through it again because it was just hilarious. And it's Friday, we all need cheering up. Right, moving on. And another Tory U-turn is announced by the criminal cabal. And they tell us that they won't be selling off Channel 4 after all. We Nadine Dorris must be raging. But why aren't they selling it off after all? Well, it wasn't popular, the idea of transferring it out of public hands. But more likely they couldn't find anybody to invest in it in the current climate. Let's face it, inward investment in the UK's went flatlined. I hope you like the special effects. But I am feeling a bit whimsical this Friday. Right, moving on Thursday. And Grant Sharp opens presents the idea of a new legislation to ensure minimal services in the time of disruption in the public sector due to industrial action. That sounds all very nice, doesn't it? Anyway, Grant proposes a bill, and there's a quick natter on it. I thought there was a debate on it yesterday, but I've got to look back now. I've got to look at Hansard. There's a natter on it, and legislation is proposed to be put in front of the House next week and properly debated and voted on for the first time the week after that. Now, the House of Lords have already come out and said that they'll put hurdles in the way. So Keir Starmer said he'll look at it and repeal it maybe, but we'll get a wee bit more of that when we get into the report. And Paul Novak, the new head honcho at the Trade Union Congress, says it's wrong, unworkable, and illegal. A couple of minutes after it's announced in the Commons and Trade Union Congress and the trade unions are threatening to take them to court for this proposed illegal bill. Talk about undermining human rights, the right to protest, the right to collective bargaining. Man, it's mental doing that road. Anyway, so Grant Sharp proposed a new bill which will undermine workers' rights. But hey, the bill to renounce all the EU laws for the end of 2023 with the senior workers' rights out the window. Anyway, so the proposed bill would propose minimum services during public sector strikes. And the bill will cover, let's have a look. The bill will cover Scotland, England and Wales. Northern Ireland isn't involved. Now, it will also cover the Departments of Health, Education, Transport, Border Security and Nuclear Decommissioning. Can't argue much with nuclear decommissioning one right up for the rest there. And the legislation to be, as I say, introduced next week. And as I say, the legislation will also allow employers to sue strikers. And that's what happens when you outsource your public services. We've seen Virgin Health do that, sue the government when they didn't win a contract. So, Little England's outsourced all its public services, so when its public servants go on strike, the companies that are doing these public services, subcontracting out some of these public services, will sue the actual public service for loss of earnings. Mental. But here's an interesting fact for viewers in England. Did you know that when the RMT are going on strike down there and up here and causing disruption up here, the train, the service providers, the franchise holders, they're getting compensated by the government. Taxpayers are paying for public servants to be on strike by compensating the train operators. Absolutely mental. Right, as I say, let's move on. Moving on Thursday, and NHS England's on the brink of collapse. Says Carol Vorderman. I think she is a mathematician, but she did that TV programme years ago, didn't she? Countdown. Anyway, the presenter is on LBC, and she asked Carol Vorderman's on LBC, and she asked a pertinent question that we here in Scotland have been asking for quite a long time now. And she asked the presenter, now, when does government incompetence move to criminal incompetence? I'm not called the criminal cabal for nothing, but it's the first time I've heard the question asked in England. We've been asking that question a lot up here. In fact, we've been saying up here it's criminal incompetence and corruption. Both. But to say, Carol Vorderman's put it out there into the ether amongst the English people now. And I'm glad she did, because we've been asking this question for years now. And nobody in England's been listening. That's why we ended up with the Brexit debacle. The people of England and their arrogant politicians can't believe that they ever get anything wrong, even though the whole of these islands are suffering because of it. It's arrogance and exceptionalism, and it's ugly. Right. So, I'm very pleased that Carol put that question out there. Maybe people in England will start asking that question. Right, moving on Thursday. Moving on to Thursday's main event, actually. So, Red Tory comrade Starmer's keynote speech. When did this come about? We had Sunak the day before, and we've got Starmer now. Ever get the feeling that the Pravda and the MSM are trying to turn England into a two-party state and an exact copy of America's system? Wow. Anyway, Starmer's in the exact same venue and the exact same spot as Sunak was the day before. When it's pointed out to him by the interviewer, he's in front of the press, and one of the press said to him, this is the exact same place Sunak did his speech. Starmer says, but I booked it first. How childish. It didn't get any better for the anyone, I can assure you. I watched the whole thing. Anyway, Starmer is he's asked about Brexit, and he sees it will introduce a take back control bill and turn the slogan into action. At this point, he's only 2 questions in, and Davey's rolling about the flare. Absolutely rolling about the flare. All the economists, all the think tanks are telling Starmer and Sunak that Brexit's not going to work, and it's an absolute disaster. Now, what's Starmer's answer? We'll steal the Tory slogan, take back control. We'll turn that into a bill that does nothing and watch terminal decline continue. Ever get a feeling that somebody's working Starmer to the back and it's probably a disaster capitalist? Right. Then he's asked about spending plans. Right. And Starmer says Labour are no longer the party of big spending and that the big chequebook would not be coming out. And he'd govern with fiscal responsibility and only borrow to invest. Another one that's talking pish and pie in the sky, for the reason I've just spoke about with Sunak. But what he has done is he's unwound all the big pledges he made a few weeks earlier with his 5-point bulletin crap for Christmas. The big one was the energy company, a energy supplier to supply cheap electricity to the people of the UK. You're going to need big money to take on the big six. And he's not got it. And he's just said he's not willing to spend it. So he's also announcing that austerity will continue under Labour. So far, no change. Different coloured tie, same muppet. Right, he was asked about renationalising key sectors and industries. Starmer said he didn't believe that was the correct course and that the public-private sector should work together to provide public services. So no reversal of to outsourcing to the private sector of private services, and of course it's not just private services, it's state procurement. So basically what he's saying is the NHS is still under him. The NHS would still be stuffed because he'll steal Sunak's idea of shrinking the waiting list by moving people from the NHS waiting list to a private sector waiting list. So far you can put a fact paper between the two of them. Right. Asked about immigration, he said he'd give more money and work with the international partners to catch the traffickers. So more money to France. I don't know what Sunak said. More money to France to cage people in Europe where they don't want to be and they want to leave and come to the UK. So basically imprisoning people in Europe. Asylum seekers, right? And I wonder how surprised their international partners were, or ex-international partners were, to hear Sunak say that he'd work with international partners to catch the traffickers. Wow, what a marvellous idea. I wonder where he got that idea from. Well, to be honest with you, that's what happened prior to Brexit. But Little England voted to leave. They sort of organisations like Interpol and that. So, and the shared intelligence agencies. So, basically, because of Brexit, there was 4,800 people a year managing to get into boats or come across in trucks via people traffickers. Thanks to Brexit, it's 40,000 a year, 50,000 a year, 60,000 a year. Stupid as it stupid does. But I wonder how surprised their international partners were, ex-international partners were, to hear Starmer say he'd work with international partners. They're up there wanting to work with him. But well, that's what Sunak said. So far you can be a flag bearer between them. There seems to be a transition period from one Tory government to another Tory government here. Now, so there you go. When it costs a fortune to try and stop wee boats that they can't stop, the French will laugh it off and laugh. After all, they're not going to cage people into Europe. Another Brexit bonus. But it was fascinating to watch him, the red tide Starmer, give a mere Tory prospectus to the people of England than the Tories did. It would appear that the reviewer on yesterday, sorry, not to be rude, sorry if I've been rude to the mind your name, but can't remember who made the comment at this point in time. If you're in the audience and who stick it up again. And what that viewer yesterday, the two Davies show, said was, it's amazing. He says what he was saying was Labour is now Tory, and Tory are now UKIP. I can see that actually. I really can see that. Mental. So, Starmer's more Tory than Sunak. Maybe Sunak's more UKIP. But unbelievable. Anyway, moving on Thursday, and the Royal College of Nurses said they'd stop strike action if the criminal cabal, Stokes hiding behind the peer review bodies, and come to the table. They even said they would accept half of what they were looking for if the government would come to the table. Anyway, the criminal cabal declined the offer, putting pennies before public safety. Anybody surprised with that? They won't even get into the room with the nurses. How's that? That's the way to conduct industrial relations. Wow. Also Thursday, the Nuffield Trust released a report into the divergence in the medical markets since Brexit. Key finding was Northern Ireland is still in the European Medical Association and the UK Medical and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency as well. It also has its own body, which allows them to allow drugs for both because of Brexit. But Scotland's got its own body and all, because, and so does Wales. We permit drugs and deny drugs that other NHSs in the UK do. But the divergence in Northern Ireland is massive. The UK Health and Medicines Regulatory Body, MHRA, have approved 597 new drugs for the UK market since 2021. Only 8 of those have made it into Northern Ireland. And the divergence seems to be that Northern Ireland, their NHS is buying their drugs through the European Medical Association, which is bigger, and they can get them cheaper there, right? Now, so there you have it. A wee Brexit, an actual Brexit bonus for Northern Ireland. They can buy their drugs more cheaply through the European Medical Association. So new drugs being approved in the UK, they're not bothering the rest of them and buying elsewhere. I wonder how the DUP feel about that diversion. Anyway, the Northern Ireland health, Stormer, public health ministry was asked about it, and what they had to say was, we're providing the best help we can for the people in Northern Ireland. So Brexit divergence is there. So it's not just in commerce where Northern Ireland has got an advantage and is diverging away to the UK and into the larger EU market. It would appear it's applying to healthcare products as well. And Northern Ireland's getting a better deal than the rest of us. Okay, so that's an interesting story, that one. Especially with all the health stories that are flying about. And finally, Thursday, it's reported that the criminal cabal are on the hunt for a new comms professional who can minimise negative publicity. And when I read this one, I fell out laughing because somebody jumped straight to mind. And this guy was commissioned by the state, the UK state, to have a AstroTurf campaign to make the UK state seem cuddly and nice to the people of Scotland. Just a couple of days before the 2014 referendum. So if the criminal cabal are looking for a new comms professional that could sort out a negative sort out the negative press that they're getting, they can look within their own ranks into the Scotland office, and there they will find Lord Malcolm Offord, who was knighted for his services against Scottish independence, and they could hire his company, a Akanchi. Akanchi is an advertising agency that Malcolm Offord runs, which specialises in making banana republics and dictatorship regimes look nice and cuddly for the tourist board. So, if the criminal cabal are looking for somebody to sort out the negative press they're getting, they only need to look their own ranks to where Malcolm Offord is in the Scotland office. Lord Offord will be able to sort them out via Akanchi, because they're used to promoting banana republics and dictatorships. So, yeah, well, that's the stories I've got picked out to talk about from Thursday. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative with negative publicity here was. And I just thought I'd end on that with a wee funny story, because the Tories actually have a specialist who was promoted to the House of Lords in their ranks, who's got a company that promotes banana republics and dictatorship regimes, Lord Malcolm Offord. So if they want to do away with negative propaganda or negative press, then just hire Lord Offord's company. I can't see. Right, let's move on to this morning and what the rags have to say, because time is passing on and I'll get Sarah to pick up in 15 minutes. Scotland's paper, safety fears before Perth Tell Fire and a royal row. We'll go with the safety fears thing first. It's the Courier, and the Courier gives it safety concerns raised before fatal hotel fire. And it says a Perth hotel where 3 people were killed following a fire was issued safety notices weeks before the blaze, the Courier reports. Both Perth and Kinross Council and the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service delivered health and safety warnings to the new county hotel in December, the paper says. Oh, well, I suppose the insurance companies are getting out. The Times has Harry spills secret and devastating memoir. Who gives a damn? Hey, the Eye has UK monarch facing its first crisis for 30 years. Yeah, get in there. The Scottish Loony Rag, the Loony Rag, the Scottish Daily Fail, it's not actually a Scottish paper at all, it's on the Scotland. Now the grudge-toting man baby really has thrown his toys out the royal pram, says Jan Moores. And a world stunned by Prince's litany of excruciating attacks on family. Rights of assault by William and bust up with Kate and wicked stepmother Camilla. But after years of hearing him wail about his privacy, millions were grown. Oh, spare us. You're right, millions were grown. Oh, spare us. The Telegraph has, please don't marry Camilla. So, wicked stepmother Harry didn't want his daddy to marry her. The other loony rag, the Daily Express has, reconcile, but you sold your soul, Harry. So he's been criticised for writing the book in the first place. And the Scotsman has, Tories must re-earn trust of the voters, say Ross. He's another comedian, Dougie Ross, isn't he? Scottish Conservative leader to attack cosy consensus of SNP and Labour. Tory and Labour here in Scotland aren't just two cheeks of the same arse. They're the one political party. They're the unholy unionist alliance. And Ross is saying it's a comfortable partnership between SNP and Labour. The man's just as out of touch as Starmer. The National has the moral Tory law on strikes face fierce backlash. UK government revealed it will press ahead with controversial proposals that could see unions sued for striking. Lynch and Black criticised plan. So Mick Lynch and Mary Black have had a go at it. Right? So there you have it. The Daily Rancid has Scots Apprentice star. I had no idea my brother is a killer. I have no idea what that's about. None. And you know what? I can't be bothered looking. The Herald has charging point rollout slow as EV car sales outstrip diesel. And Ross Labour are playing for Team Sturgeon. The unholy unionist alliance turn on each other. That cheers you up on us. That cheers you up on a Friday. Let's see what the Star's got for us today, will we? The Daily Star of Scotland. Royal Rumble! Put your dukes up. Shy bloke knocked to floor by brother. Contacted mother from beyond the grave. Lost his virginity to cougar in the field. And apparently he's also claimed to have shot 25 Taliban. So there you go. Brilliant stuff. Right, that's what we've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. So weekend, we won't be back. Dave and I will be back on Sunday for the two Davies at 3 o'clock. Got somebody I really want to bring on, but I'll have a talk with them first. See if they're available or see when they're available. We might have to change the time to accommodate this person. But we'll see if we can get them on. Anyway, David and I will be back on Sunday. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but probably some of the stuff I've just spoke about there and a wee bit more in depth, you know. So as I say, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. All right, and remember, support the independent media, because this stuff we're getting in the MSM and in the Pravda is absolute nonsense. That's why I do this show. I mean, nonsense. So remember, support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, support Independence Live, Indie Live Radio, Caledon Media. Norrie, there's a great wee show. Trues Radio. Support the iScot magazine and the national newspaper, and support independent bloggers and bloggers like Leslie Riddock and the wee Ginger Dog. They all do great stuff. And if they've got a crowdfunder on the go, you've got a penny or two to spare, throw it in the pot, will you? Now, as you know, I don't want your money. You know what the script is with me. If you're going to share this on Facebook, give me a minute to change it to public after the end of this broadcast, because I've seen a lot of people posting it before the broadcast ends. And when you get into the groups that posted it, it says attachment unavailable, attachment unavailable. So you've got to wait and give me 5 minutes to change it to public after the broadcast on Facebook, folks. Sorry, that's just the way it is now. Meta restricting me. All right. Now, you guys have a great weekend, but remember, respiratory diseases have gone mental. Professor Jason Lee stuck his head above the parapet to be saying what I've been saying. He's not here. You know, mask up in closed public spaces, especially if you're not feeling well, and clean hands and surfaces regularly. That's the last 2 bits of guidance, right? Show about social conscience. Okay, now you guys have a good weekend, and as I say, we'll see you in 3 o'clock on Sunday, and then we'll be back on Monday for our usual review. Oh no, it won't be. It'll be Tuesday. I keep forgetting I can't do a Monday at the moment. So we'll be back on Tuesday to start the run of next week's programmes. Okay. You guys have a cracking weekend. Look after each other. Bye for now.